morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from worldwide. Nice to have you back on the channel. I'm Sterling. Welcome all the subscribers and all the new subscribers. The year's going very, very fast. This show's being recorded for Sunday, July 31st, 2022. As always, these shows are provided for entertainment purposes only. So all the information I share with you comes directly real time through my guides and angels, extended spiritual counsel, ETs, famous people from history. So for entertainment purposes only. Also, for anybody that wants to reach me, it's very easy. Go to sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the book a session tab. It's very easy from there. For those of you that watch the channel all the time, you know that we run contests every time we reach a new level of 1,000 subscribers. We just crossed over 25,000 subscribers. Thank you again to everybody for the support of the channel. So I'm going to announce the winner, and the way the winners are chosen, they're selected out of the comments section in the show where we cross over to the next 1,000 subscribers. So we just crossed over on last week's show. So anybody is a subscriber and starts off their comment with the word love is automatically entered. And we use a computer-generated app to select the winner. And the winner for the free half-hour session with myself is Pat Hansmeyer. That's spelled Hansmeyer. So congratulations, Pat. Just contact our offices, sterlingpsychicmedium.com. That is, the email address is info@sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Let the office know you're the winner, and we'll get everything taken care of for you very quickly. Also, just remember to like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. All those things really help the channel. For those of you that watch this channel all the time, you know that we select questions from our community board, and we put out a request every Monday for questions. I think we had nearly 500 questions again, and my wife does go through them. I think today we have 52 questions. We try not to repeat questions, try to cover as much areas we can across technology and the universe and ETs and angels and guides and all sorts of experiences and unexplained technology and unexplained experiences. So try to cover a very large gamut, if you will. So today, we always like to start off bringing somebody through based on the questions that we received. And we did have a request to bring through Franklin D. Roosevelt. So I want to give a shout out to FDR, and we'll jump right into the show here of the top 52 questions countdown. So I did bring through FDR this morning in advance of the show. I find that's always easier than to scribe down exactly what he had to say. So I'm going to read back to you what FDR had to say this morning. Your entire world is going through a renaissance right now, and you're all part of this tremendous and magnificent change in the world towards peace, prosperity, and getting the truth out to everyone. We all play an important part in these changes, including voting in elections. During my lifetime, similar to your current time, I faced many challenges that were brought on by economic and political unrest, as well as personal health challenges and evolving world events, including world war conflicts. I'm working diligently with world leaders from the other side to strike deals that will make humankind a safer place for everyone. I created many new programs that represent the New Deal programs I constructed to help realign countries around the world with programs that will help people, companies, governments, and global financial markets move towards a stronger world, including new energy sources critical for world stability. We are all working hard from the other side to raise the consciousness of your leaders, humanity, and achieve world growth. You will see significant positive world changes in the coming decade and subsequent decades. Everyone stay safe and be positive, and we will all achieve our goals. So just a wonderful message from FDR. It's actually one of the first times I've communicated with him, but a very knowledgeable individual helping from the other side, and certainly very understanding of all the times we're going through right now. And what I really got from his message when I communicated with him was he felt a lot of similarities to the times he lived in around politics and economics and world conflicts and what we're experiencing now. So wonderful to communicate with him. Okay, so now let's continue on with the top 52 countdowns, going to question number 51. Hi, Sterling. Will the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, agreed to by Schumer and Manchin, pass before the midterms? Yes, looks to me like it'll pass with, interesting enough, all Democrats on board. So looks like it will pass. 50. Will J.D. Vance win his race for senator in Ohio, or will the Democrat Tim Ryan win? Looks to me like the Democrat Tim Ryan will win, but interestingly enough, this is a huge advertising spend going on his behalf. So it looks like, due to a very large ad spend, Tim Ryan will be the winner. 49. Will Manchin be replaced? If so, by another Democrat or Republican? Well, I did see Manchin being replaced in the next term, and I don't recall now, but I think the next term for him starts in 2024. I think that's when it runs out for him. But I did see him being replaced by another Democrat. I do. 48. Did Mark Meadows hand over all of his communications to the January 6th committee? Was he aware of how damaging they would be? Yes, to me, it looks like he acted very quickly in turning over all of his communications, not realizing that the sum total of the communications created some implications for him, where he is certainly be culpable in certain areas for entertainment purposes only. So he did turn them all over, and not realizing, the sum total was going to create a different picture than he fully intended. 47. Do some psychics come from a negative place? I recently had a reading that made me feel uncomfortable, but there were some accuracies in it. What do your guides say about this? How can we be careful and know the reader is coming from a higher place? Well, this is interesting, and this is a good lesson for everybody. First off, your angels and guides in the universe only bring forth information that's helpful to you. So it should resonate with you in a way that's helpful and loving. All human beings can sometimes navigate into a place of fear, and fear can create all kinds of misinformation, coming from a psychic medium or even coming from your own consciousness. So my recommendation to whoever asked this question, make sure the information resonates with you in a good and a helpful way. If it doesn't, that's your team kind of tapping you on the back saying, be careful of this information, or it may not be the most usable information. So hopefully that helps. Just, make sure you're not receiving information from someone that's in a place of fear, as well as yourself when you're interpreting the information. 46. Hi, Sterling. I'm wondering about Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg. We know that foreign actors have been influential in misinformation and disinformation and bear responsibility for a big part of our democracy being in jeopardy. Will the Justice Department be able to go after Meta? Will the new Congress be able to enact tighter regulations on theirs and other social media platforms? I've read on this before, but I see a new federal agency being constructed that will actually monitor and give guidelines, legal guidelines, to social media companies, streaming companies, and video on demand companies. So there's a wide spectrum of digital platform companies that will come under new federal guidelines and regulations. And it looks to me like it's going to grow out of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. So there's something going on with all of that, but I do see that coming up. And within 1 to 2 years, if not faster, we're going to see this. So I feel like it's being talked about right now across our federal government. And that's going to take them a while to kind of draft the new organization, staff it. 45. Hi, Sterling. Recently, Google fired Blake Lemoine, a software engineer, because he claimed that an AI conversation technology he was developing called Lambda had reached a level of consciousness. Was Lemoine's assessment correct that the Lambda AI technology had become sentient? No, I don't believe he was. Lambda was a what they call an AI language model, and so this is not something that developed true feelings. So if something is sentient, it develops real feelings, and this is all based on an AI language model. So not a correct assessment, unfortunately. 44. Do you see the United States doing anything about the scams that are targeting the elderly in this country? Most importantly, scams from India, as well as the PCH, I guess for entertainment purposes only, Publishers Clearinghouse, scammers. Do you see those scammers being extradited and stand trial or protection from our elderly? Well, here again, I see new federal guidelines coming up and a new organization, and it may in fact be part of this new group we just were talking about in the prior question. But I do see also major, what they call telcos, the telephone companies, the major communication service providers getting involved in this because apparently it's costing them a lot of money too. So these scams are expensive for the elderly and expensive for the telcos as well. So it's all coming. And I do see all this within a 1 to 2 year period. And it's time now in society, and many government officials have understood this, but it's taken a while to kind of rally the troops, so to speak. So it's coming. 43. Russia and China have just signed an agreement to have a new joint reserve currency backed by all of their gold. I would like to know if this means this is an end of the US dollar as the world reserve currency. No, the US dollar will still remain a major reference to worldwide currency, so it's not going away. But what I do see over the next number of years here, 4 to 5 years, I see a number of countries, including the US, developing a new type of currency. This could be a digital currency that provides a new ancillary standard to world currency, but it's also going to be backed by the US dollar. So the US dollar will still be an important element, but there'll be, I know we've talked about this before, a new digital currency that will be backed by many large countries that are counterbalance what's going on with Russia and China. So it's coming. 42. Thank you for the time and peace you give us. Would you check on the future of a new political party that is forming and includes Democrats and Republicans? Will it be successful? Well, I think this is the question is about the Andrew Yang party, the Forward Party. I don't see it having any kind of major success. It's going to almost be like a flash in the pan. But what's interesting is I do see it siphoning off of a number of Republican votes. So in terms of, say, Democratic voting, it does not look like it's going to be a big factor to me, the Forward Party, but it will siphon off a number of Republican voters. 41. I live near Phoenix in Arizona. All of the major lakes and waterways that supply water to 4 states are at a critical low point. Why hasn't our government come up with a solution? Well, this has to do a lot with political infighting among many groups and also a lack of funding. So I do see some of the new federal bills that are passing, this one we were talking about earlier, will have green and climate measures built in that are going to start to help with some of these water problems. I also see, and I've seen this before in other shows, that we will be passing a corporate minimum tax of 15% very shortly here in the future. Over the next 12, 24 months, a lot of activity here. But when the corporate minimum tax comes in at around 15%, that's going to provide revenue and funding to support some of these programs. They're going to support water conservation, new ways of getting water, new ways of transporting water. So all this is coming. 40. Hi, Sterling. I have some questions concerning Neanderthals. Why did they go extinct? Did Neanderthals also have spirit guides? Well, Neanderthals became extinct something like 40,000 years ago, and maybe they started out 400,000 years ago. I'm getting a lot of fours here from my team. But they did have guides. They did have angels. They weren't what they call Homo sapiens sapiens, so they were not as evolved, if you will, but looks like disease, some sort of a disease is what took out Neanderthals. So I think that's all the questions this person asked. Yes. So it wasn't until humans came along, or Homo sapiens sapiens, where better ways of fighting disease came along. So that's why current level of humanity has survived, and Neanderthals did not. 39. I have a child who experiences nausea, dizziness, headaches, stomach aches, joint pain, sometimes precipitated by eating, lasting the entire day. Wakes up in the morning and go to bed in the evening in this manner every day. He had an endoscopy indicating spots on the stomach lining. Doctors uncertain what spots indicate. He has lived with this since he was 6 years old. Doctors, naturopaths have no solution to resolve this ongoing situation. What do your guides say? Well, I get very clearly, whoever asked this question, is that this problem appears to be related to an Asian-based parasite. So I would tell this person, whoever asked the question, do some research on Asian-based parasites. And it looks like there were some war veterans that came back from Vietnam that may have had the same problem. So there's something here regarding a parasite. Once you identify the type of parasite, looks like it's rather rare out of the Asia region. There are ways to somehow stimulate the extinction of these parasites. So unfortunately, I'm sorry to hear that your child had all these problems, but I do think there's a pathway to getting clarity on what's causing it. So do a little Google, a little research. I think it's going to come up with some answers that will be helpful. 38. Can you explain a little about ETs? When you say they are living amongst us, do you mean that they are visible in a human form, like in the movie Men in Black, or something similar? Well, yes, there are many ET species at work here on Earth. Remember, they have a way to shapeshift and to look human or humanoid. So they are working with many governments and many areas of science to kind of move things along for us, and healthcare and science and technology. Remember, originally semiconductor technology, you saw the big chip bill just passed through Congress, but semiconductor technology came from our ET friends. But yes, they're working amongst society, and you're not going to know who they are. They do communicate, or can communicate, when they're down here on Earth, in the same way that psychics and mediums communicate with angels and guides and people that have passed on. So they use that same telepathic communication channel. So you're not going to know who they are, but they are down here, yes, and they come in all different colors. 37. I took your advice and talked to my guides daily. Some days I get pages of information, some days only paragraphs. This past week, I'm not getting anything. I've cleared my energy and still nothing. Am I being blocked? What can I do? Well, no blocks here. I would tell the biggest reason that that channel gets shut down is through anxiety or fear or depression. All those things kind of shut down that communication channel. Now, that communication channel is the same one that pure creativity flows through. I call it the creative mind, pure imagination. That's why a lot of creative people, authors will channel books automatically, and musicians will write songs in 5 minutes. But anyway, there's no block. I would tell this person, just relax, try to open up that pure creative mind again and imagination, and that channel will start to open up. So nothing blocking it, just relax, it'll all come back. 36. Hello, Sterling. I am from the southwest of France. We've had wildfires and heat waves like most of the south of Europe. Do you see more bad weather coming to this part of the world? Well, we're going to see significant climate challenges and fires and floods worldwide, unfortunately, over the next 4 to 5 years. It's going to be a very important period, but there are going to be many new technologies and policies for green technology and containing greenhouse gases. This is all coming. So over the next 4 to 5 years, it's going to be difficult worldwide, not for this just part of France. But for those of you who watched the news this week, you saw a lot of the flooding that just occurred in Kentucky, parts of Kentucky. So worldwide problem. We're all going to have to manage through it over the next 4 to 5 years, including this area of Southwest France. 35. Are aliens white, translucent, or different colors like we've seen on Star Trek? This kind of resonates with the prior question, but yes, they come in. There's hundreds of species. Many of them do visit Earth. They come in all different colors, shapes, sizes, translucent. If you look at Pleiadians, they are tall, more white and translucent in color. If you look at some of the grays, some of the hybrids are very green. Some of the grays that control the hybrids are very green and shorter. So all shapes, sizes, colors. Much the same way you see the human race, all shapes, sizes, colors. 34, will James Murray, Secret Service Director, actually go to work for Snapchat in light of the recent scandal? Will he be prosecuted for the loss of the text? I don't see him moving into the private sector anytime soon. It looks like he's going to stay on and help shepherd through some of the investigation. And I've said before, a lot of the Secret Service text will be retrieved. It's going to be done in conjunction with telcos and cloud service providers, cellular service providers. So there's a footprint, there's a DNA for the text information that's coming back. I do see him engaged in some level of prosecution or being prosecuted for entertainment purposes only, but looks like he's not going to move to the private sector right away. That's what they're telling me. 33, what do your guides see this week for Ukraine? Will things start to improve soon? Is the end near for Putin? Multi-layered question there. So I see big turnarounds coming in the war in Ukraine, and we've been forecasting this for weeks. A lot of advanced technology being moved into Ukraine to fight the air war and the ground war, sophisticated missile technology. We're seeing turnarounds, and it's all starting. As far as Putin goes, I do still see drastic health problems. And my guides have also said that some of what's being seen in the press are body doubles or a body double for Putin. So stay tuned. I know that months and months ago, my guides have said that he has a very strong form of colon cancer. It started off as colon cancer and moves through his system. I don't wish bad on anybody, but I think this person asked kind of what's happening with Putin. And that's what I see, but also a big turnaround coming and continue to come here for Ukraine. Okay, 32 in the countdown. Hi, Sterling. There is a 10-year gap between my brother and myself. His room was across the hallway from mine. He had a habit of waking up in the middle of the night and would crawl up on my bed and fall asleep on my legs. One night when I was 13 or 14, I woke up to find him in his usual spot, but I also saw a man walking towards him with his hands out, reaching for his throat. The man looked terrifying, with a massive scar down his left side of his face. I thought I was dreaming, so I closed my eyes and opened them again. He was still there, so I laid all the way down and closed my eyes again, and he was still there when I opened them. Then he saw me looking at him, which prompted him to leave my brother alone and head for me. I closed my eyes a third time. When I opened them, he was gone. My little brother slept through the whole thing. Who or what was that? Well, I pick up this was a prankster spirit. So these are spirits that are on the other side that are like to play games and like to play jokes. They will respect your space. So that was a prankster spirit. I would just tell them to kind of move along. They'll respect your request. But yeah, very interesting. I do see things like this from time to time. 31. I participated in several small group readings from psychic mediums, and many people I know came through each time. I understand the spirits dropping hints at the beginning to help us recognize who they are. But once they're recognized, why do they still maintain the same personalities as when they were alive? This is especially unsettling when those people were not the nicest or most respectful before death and are exactly the same afterwards in the session. This includes my father, who was a bit of a jerk, to put it nicely. It's like he was still alive and not in a higher place of consciousness or spirituality in death. Why is this? Well, this is not characteristic of any family members or spiritual guides or angels that I communicate with on the other side. So everybody does move through a higher place of consciousness and love. Many times they do acknowledge things that they did or difficulties they created for people when they were here. So I do see a lot of times Spirits, entities, family members will acknowledge things they did. Also, I see sometimes they will not acknowledge or not take responsibility, but from a loving space, they feel like there's something else going on. Now, so I never see family members or spirits or guides come through with an aggressive or kind of an ugly personality when they're on the other side. So I think there's unfortunate lack of clarity of communication going on in some of these sessions. Remember what I said before early in the show. Use your own spirituality and your own sense of reason and love. And if it doesn't resonate with you, that's usually a warning sign from your team that the information you're receiving is not meant for you or not coming from a loving space or coming from a space of fear. Remember, we all have that barometer built in, so use it. 30, is there something going on between the realms, dimensions right now? I've been seeing a lot of spirits in my home lately. Not sure if others are having this happen to them as well or just me. No, many light workers are on the planet right now. Light workers are essentially teacher healers. They're very sensitive. The veil to the other side is getting much thinner. More and more people can talk to their angels and guides and family members. So you're experiencing a shift in the earth that's going on right now. Remember, we're going through a very transitory 3-decade period that started in 2020. So all this is true, but the person asks the question, that's a lot of things happening right now, and a lot of light workers are feeling the changes. Absolutely. Okay, 29. A couple of weeks ago, fallen angels were mentioned, and you suggested these entities have fallen from the guidance of God or the one source. What do fallen angels do in the world? Do they disrupt nature, cause wars, or tempt people as demons were said to do, or do they do something else? Well, yes, I mean, there is no hell, there are no demons, but fallen angels, right, they don't align themselves with the one force, the one source, and they certainly can help to create havoc. So people that are depressed or have a lot of anxiety, you can certainly bring in fallen angels and they'll help create havoc with you. So I'll characterize it as creating havoc and difficulty, but as long as we all align ourselves with love and our angels and guides, very easy to kind of keep them out of our pathway. But yeah, there are angels on the other side, and I find from time to time there are fallen angels, and then they kind of regain their stance or their prominence and rejoin and become the opposite of a fallen angel, and they kind of rejoin the pack, so to speak. So it's all true. 28. How quickly does it take for someone who passes to be able to look down and see their loved ones? Do deceased loved ones experience the feelings of sadness, and do they miss their families after death? Well, individuals, in terms of Earth time, can connect with family members nearly immediately once they pass. Remember, on the other side, things move faster than the speed of light in the heaven dimension. So like one day in Earth time can sometimes be a year on the other side. So anyway, there's no time delay for those on Earth. Now, they're able to connect and come around family members almost immediately in terms of Earth time. They don't feel the sadness, but they always express love and support to us. So they understand that their life journey is over. They're moving on. Your life journey is still here. So they want to be very supportive. Want you to move through the life lessons you have here. So it's all part of a much larger universal plan, but they can communicate with you nearly immediately. And I see this all the time when I communicate with people that have passed over, but they don't take in the pain necessarily that we have here, but they try to assist a lot of love and support. 27, a friend and I were hiking in Sedona around Cathedral Rock and sat down to take a break. All of a sudden, everything around us turned bright colors and we were shown different geometric figures. Were we in a vortex or was this something else? You were actually very close to what's called the portal. And the portal is where a lot of ETs move through and other types of spiritual entities. Portals can extend sometimes hundreds of feet in the sky, but you were looking very close to a portal. So congratulations. And there's many of them, in fact, some huge ones on Skinwalker Ranch, if you've been following what's happening with the investigations on Skinwalker Ranch. But you're very close to a portal. That's what you saw. 26, I have a daughter that suffers from bipolar disorder and wonder if there will be any advancements in medicine to help with those mental disorders. Yes, this is a top priority for many medical companies right now, and they're using CRISPR technology in some early stage testing. So I feel there can be some very good CRISPR technology available within 5 years to help with bipolar disorders, whoever asked this question. 25. Lately, I've noticed that when I think about something I want to see happen at work, like a type of employee I need to hire or additional revenue for new ideas I wish I had, it ends up happening. Am I just noticing coincidences, getting lucky, or I'm actually manifesting it? You're actually manifesting it. So you're an excellent manifester. So I'd work to develop that skill and look to make what I call much larger or bigger asks from the universe. Absolutely, you're a great manifester. Here's Steph, I talk to a lot of individuals in sessions that are fantastic manifestors. Some of them have a lot of, let's say, unpleasant things happening around them. What's interesting is they're manifesting those unpleasant things. Could be problems at work or layoffs or problems at home with family. So it's interesting when I see great manifestors, I always bring that to their attention, whether things are going well or not so well, and say, look, this is a conscious effort on your part. Turn that skill around and you're going to see how your life will turn around. But whoever asked this question, you're a fantastic manifester, and keep it going and look to harness much larger things in your life. 24. Hi, Sterling. Do aquatic humanoids currently exist in the sea? There have been many sightings over the years. Yes, they absolutely exist, but these are extraterrestrials, and you're going to find a lot of them off the coast of Russia and the Russian seas up towards Antarctica. Yes, they're true. 23. There's been a lot of talk among Republicans in particular about a civil war. What does your team tell you about this? No large-scale civil war that would divide the company in half or in two, but I do see obviously a lot of difficulties around certain major cities that you might draw an analogy to kind of a civil war, but these will all be contained. So we have a lot of unrest, and we will for a number of years here, but no large-scale civil war. I think that's about the U.S., right? It was about the U.S. That will divide the country completely. That's not going to happen, but a lot of isolated points of difficulty and some violence. 22. Hi, Sterling. I'd never been a fan of Impressionism art. After reluctantly watching a documentary of Vincent van Gogh's life, I felt like I understood him. Surprisingly, I found myself crying, explaining to my husband how his art simultaneously embodies all of the world's beauty and pain. Out of nowhere, I heard a voice say, "Thank you for seeing me." For the next week, the voice would pop up in calling me my friend. It told me I was Paul Gauguin, I think it's Gauguin, in a former life. I was completely shocked by this information and disbelief. I really didn't know who Gauguin was at the time. Sterling, was this Vincent van Gogh who spoke to me, and was I Gauguin in another lifetime? Well, I get 100% yes all the way around that you were around that time with Vincent van Gogh. You were a confidant and a friend, and you were absolutely one of his close friends. It was a Gauguin. I think it's his name. Is it Paul? I'm sorry here. Paul Gauguin. And I apologize for mispronouncing his name. But yes, it looks like you were in that lifetime 100% and a close friend of Van Gogh's. Congratulations. 21. Will there ever be a time when damaged teeth can be regenerated, eliminating the need for fillings, crowns, implants, or dentures? Yes, and this has come up in some prior shows, but scientists around the world are already growing human teeth in laboratory areas. They're actually using, in some places, 3D printing technology using biological material. And then also within about 6 to 8 years here, we're going to see some CRISPR technology that will allow then the body to recreate teeth as well. That's all coming. 20. What is the best way for persons to raise and maintain a high vibration and better connect with the universe? talked about this earlier, but keep the creative mind center fully open, that side that controls imagination. So a lot of times when people relax and you meditate, that also opens up that area of imagination, the creative mind center. All those things are very helpful. And that's going to kind of keep you centered in the best way to receive the information you need to receive. Absolutely. And this person is referring to about raise and maintain a high vibration. That's, maintain that state of receptiveness to the information. 19, will tiny houses grow in popularity and will they become more available in all of the states? Well, yes. I mean, over the next decade, we're going to see a real increase in the interest in tiny houses as we get into more green technology, sustainable living, sustainable technology. So they will become very popular and certainly a portion of our housing. And I also see them helping with the homeless very, very well too. So looks like some large scale tiny house communities that will become affordable housing for the homeless as well, federally funded. 18, does spontaneous human combustion, HSC, really exist, or is it an old wives' tale? Yes, it really exists. It happens in a very rare number of occurrences and is due to excessive levels of acetone and methane gas. So it looks like in certain people, large amounts of acetone or methane gas can be generated. So this must be some sort of a disease condition that would create that. It certainly doesn't happen very often. I'm being told the last time it happened in the world, maybe the early 2000s. So it can happen. It's very rare, but due to that excessive acetone and methane gas. Interesting. 17, not long ago, I was asleep in my bed and woke in the middle of the night because I felt a presence above me. When I opened my eyes, there was what looked like a small winged creature flying not far from my face. It was about 5 inches tall and appeared to have no real color, but rather was translucent and iridescent. It resembled a fairy in shape with human-like limbs, long hair, facial features, and vibrating wings. It hovered above my face for about 5 seconds and then flew up and disappeared through my ceiling. What was this? This is one of your birth or guardian angels making an appearance and saying hello. So congratulations, you saw them. 16, education is under attack. In Florida, there's a shortage of teachers, and the state has enacted legislation that grants veterans the ability to teach classes with only 60 college credits. What is the future of education in America? Will teachers ever get the recognition, pay that they deserve? Will states be able to fill shortages with competent teachers? Well, yes, this has also come up in prior shows. Over the next few years here, you're going to see the corporate minimum tax come into play at 15%. That's going to put a lot of revenues back in the federal coffers. That's going to increase spending for education in the states, a way to train more teachers, bring the pay levels up. So, a lot of this, unfortunately, has been limited by revenue, tax share revenues. Some of the largest corporations, and they'll go nameless here, it's for entertainment purposes only, but some of the largest corporations that are in everybody's mind have not paid any federal income taxes for years. So anyway, long story short here, for this person asked the question, education is going to get a big boost over the next couple of years here, but big reliance here coming on the 15% corporate minimum tax. It's going to enable a lot of new programs. 50 in the countdown. Sterling, do your guys have anything to share with us about the homeless problem in California and around the U.S. and best course of action to take in remedying the problem? Well, as we keep talking about here again, this is the homeless problem. There's going to be more federal funding coming in to the states, and we're going to see collectively across all the states many more programs, even tiny house programs or affordable housing for the homeless coming about. So all this is kind of directly related together. Okay, 14 in the countdown. When I got my puppy 5 years ago, he was walking to the kitchen and something freaked him out and it really scared him. What was that? This was a former relative of yours. Looks like a woman, looks like a mother energy. So it's either a mother or a grandmother, but this was a relative of yours And remember, animals can see the spiritual realm very easily. So animals can see your animals that pass over before you, family members. So it's always nice when you're going through kind of a spiritual awakening, if you will, is to kind of work with your animals. Remember, animals are from the angelic realm and they're here to help. And a lot of times they'll cue you or give you cues of spiritual beings in your house. 13. Love Sterling Sundays. Often you've talked about eye disease and CRISPR technology. I'm working hard and fast on an eye disease with some medically important chemistry, working on glaucoma, a special micro device. I have wonderful special help. Do your guides see any improvements in science to regrow nerves, like retinal nerves damaged in glaucoma? Yes, absolutely. Within 10 years here, using CRISPR technology. And I know we talk about CRISPR technology a lot on this show, spelled CRISPR. But this is it's a monumental change brought about by ETs that are now the building blocks for many medications and solutions for kind of humankind's diseases and shortcomings and medical problems. So yeah. But for the person that asked this question regarding regrowing nerves, looks like within 10 years. I see that there's a stack, if you will, of diseases and problems that CRISPR technology companies are working on. So they're going after kind of the low-hanging fruit first, and then look into more and more of combating diseases. So there's a long laundry list of things that CRISPR technology will go after, but they're going to take kind of in a sequential order. 12. Do the myths about gods and goddesses in various traditions, like Greek and Indian mythology, have their origin or their traditions in extraterrestrial encounters? Yes, absolutely. A lot of the gods and goddesses that were taught to come out of the skies were certainly ETs, and a lot of this is reflected around the world in a lot of hieroglyphs. So you can see this in cave writings and wall writings and things in the pyramids. So yes, a lot of this is all based around their interaction or our ancient ancestors with ETs. 11. Is there anything coming down the line for migraine sufferers? Talked about this before, but it's new techniques for screening out nitrates and nitrites in food. So something about preservatives and nitrates in foods, certainly in many different types of meats. I don't think these are preservatives. I'm not an expert in that area. It looks like new techniques for screening out preservative. These things are going to help to prevent things that exacerbate the problem. And then there are many more. There'll be all of CRISPR technologies for migraine sufferers as well too. But in the short term, it's like kind of a better isolation of preservatives that can aggravate this problem. 10. In heaven, can we create with our thoughts what we desire and have that desire manifest instantaneously? Absolutely. This is the way it works. The interesting thing is, I'll make a reference to, Robin Williams' film again, What Dreams May Come. There's some good examples of that in that film. But interesting enough, this technique for if you can imagine it, you can create it, is available for us here on Earth, human beings. Now, it doesn't happen instantaneously, but what we create, what we put out to the universe is what we manifest. So, they say thought creates reality. So the same techniques that you see work instantaneously in heaven can work here on Earth, just takes a little bit longer. So kind of interesting correlation on that question between heaven and Earth. 9. What's the first thing people are conscious of after they make their transition? First thing they're conscious of is being guided by their guardian angels or birth angels. So many times as you start to transition, you feel somebody with you, guiding you as you start moving towards the light. Then you start seeing family members and friends and colleagues and pets and animals. But most everybody that I've seen, and it starts to cross, you start to feel that care and that guidance coming from your guardian angels. Many times people that have near-death experiences never, let's say, look left or right when they're starting to transition. They know that there's an angel there. They're not sure who it is. But if they have a near-death experience and they come back, they never take the time to look left or to the right to see who it is. But that's usually what they experience when you first start to transition. 8, hi Sterling, I'm currently raising 5 monarch butterfly larvae that I rescued from my milkweed plant here in Michigan. This is my first year of doing this, and I already have a plan on continuing each year thereafter. They're very special to me now that I've heard right after the first one went into its chrysalis that monarchs are now on the endangered species list, and it made me very sad. Do you see them going extinct? If yes, then when? Or are they being saved? I don't see them going extinct. In fact, what I'm being told is that there's many organizations around the world in Europe and in Asia and Japan that are working on ways to save monarch butterflies. I know nothing about this, but I get something about testing and lab experiments in Europe and parts of Japan. Also, I'll tell you something interesting, that whoever asked this question, you are now one of the first, what I'll call butterfly whisperers. So congratulations, and you're actually gonna play a very big role in helping to save monarch butterflies. So good for you. 7, will Social Security payments for retirees continue for the next 20 years? Yes, actually, I get they'll continue for the next 100 years. And then after 100 years, there's something new coming in the way that we manage a kind of a Social Security program. I'm not going to go into depth on that now here, but whoever asked this question, my guides, my team just said the next 100 years it's going to be around. 6, hi Sterling and team. Around the age of 7, I was expecting a friend one winter evening lying in the snow. It was dark and the sky was perfectly clear. I saw above me a UFO at the height of the helicopter. I could see all the details and the lights all around. At 56, I still remember it. I got scared and ran home. Can you tell me what happened and who was or what was that ship? Well, what they're telling me is what you saw was one of the motherships. And the motherships are normally, you can see motherships because they're actually somewhat stationary. There are shuttle ships that run between the motherships and down to Earth to shuttle individuals, ETs back and forth. So you saw a mothership, and it looks like they've been waiting for a shuttle ship. And, you know, I've talked to individuals who have seen these shuttle ships. They describe them, it looks like Winnebagos or motorhomes moving very slow through the sky. So yeah, you did see a UFO, and it looks like a mothership to me. 5, a few years back, maybe 10 years ago, I was searching for guidance, spiritual guidance. I stumbled upon a book called the Urantia book. It has some interesting ideas, knowledge, history. It does not have an author. Each paper inside the Urantia book is given by an angelic being. What do your guides say about the origins of the book and who transmit that information? Is the information real or truthful? Well, what I get was this book was channeled by many humans. So it's information that came from spiritual realm. But I also get, they're telling me that there was a lot of human interaction and even some human interference. So human ideas put into this book. So much the same way maybe the books of today in our religious culture, there are a lot of human contact, human input put into the books. So this book of Urantia, never read it, not familiar with it, but a good part of it, portion of it was channeled through spiritual channels by many individuals, but it's mixed in with a lot of human content, which means that, you know, there are areas of the book that I'm just going to tell you don't completely align with the one force, one source, spirituality. So whoever asked that question, I hope this is helpful. 4, hi Sterling. Can your guides give us a year or time frame for when the Cascadia subduction zone will rupture once more? And do you ever see a time when psychics and scientists work together in order to warn people in advance of coming natural disasters in order to help save lives? Well, what I get is this earthquake zone will erupt over the next 50 years. So sometime between now and the next 50 years, it's 45 years out. It's really hard to say here, but it will affect a large area of the Pacific Northwest, certainly of our continent. And I guess the question was, when will scientists and psychics work together? I already see that happening in some areas around the world. So much the same way that law enforcement and detectives work with psychics in some areas to get clues, I'm already starting to see that kind of support and collaboration with scientists and psychics around the world. 3 in the countdown. I was already a married woman at a time it was, I'm sorry, I was already a married woman, and at the time it was evening and I'd gone to bed, but was definitely not asleep. I was lying under the covers alone in my bed at the time when the darkened room suddenly lit up, and I was sent to find the room filled with beings that seemed to be made up of crystalline, multicolored substance that was perpetually shimmering. There were many of them. I could see no feet, and their faces seemed to meld into the rest of each of their bodies, but I could tell that at least one of them was talking to me, but I could not hear what the being was saying. They stayed with me for quite a while, just standing there, and then they just vanished. This was many years ago, but I can see them as though it was yesterday, and I always felt I should say something about this, but now I really need to know. Any thoughts? This was a group of angels visiting you to warn you of some situations coming up. Now, I get that this was a larger situation, not just involving your family, but some larger world situation. So a little bit of a spiritual awakening for you, but it was a group of angels. And it looks to me like when they couldn't quite communicate with you in terms of they wanted to elicit your help, they moved on. And I see that many times groups of angels may visit certain people to try to get some extra help. There may be some world conflict coming up, or like a 9/11 situation. They're trying to get some extra help. So that's what that was all about. 2, do you see anything coming up this week? I see significant new information received and coming out from the January 6th committee. I see new movement by the Department of Justice, the federal government, and moving towards indictments or framing up indictments for 45. I see a lot of activity and controversy still around Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, in trips to Asia, but I do see all that eventually going well. So I know there's still some controversy around whether the actual visit to Taiwan is going to take place. I think Nancy's in Asia right now. So some controversy, but it looks like it's all going to work out well. I do see, as I saw last week, big strides in getting on top of monkeypox with development of new vaccine and creating new vaccine and getting vaccines out. So monkeypox does not appear to be a big problem. And more information coming out on the Uvalde shootings. Oh, also, they reminded me, new gun legislation is still going to be pushed forward. I know that I just saw on the news, and my guy's been talking about this for weeks, but the House, I think, just passed an assault weapons ban. Unfortunately, does not look like it'll be passed by the Senate. Or very, very close, but it looks like many states are going to look at assault weapons bans as well. So again, I see this as a positive week coming up. And I do see we're still in the middle of a surge here for COVID. So everybody be careful. There's masking policies coming back to a number of cities, but we're all going to navigate through this. And last but not least, number 1 on the countdown. Do you have anything your guides want to share? Make sure you manifest the destiny you want for the world and for yourself, for you have control of how you manifest with your team, your angels and guides. And on that note, again, if anything needs to reach me, look for sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the Book a Session tab, very easy. I will be doing a show with Linda G., the Comanche Psychic, next Sunday. We have a lot of fun doing that. And until next Sunday, I wish everybody a lot of goodwill and tremendous love to you and your families. Take care. We'll talk soon.